sort of knew what we had. We had a few oral histories and a few meetings and things like that on tapes, but then when we found all the other ones, we got really excited.
My name is Ada Woodhouse Hallberg. I came home from Swedish Hospital to a house that my grandfather Bowden had built, and that was at 2613 Marine Avenue Southwest.
Ada Hallberg in that video talks about how everybody learned to swim in Elliott Bay.
Jen Zook is the volunteer digitizing more than 100 VHS and other tapes belonging to the Southwest Seattle Historical Society.
The oral histories, I think, are the most fun.
Ada Hallberg tells of her parents, Grace and John Woodhouse.
He worked in the woods and was a lumberman for a while. He was a member of the Wobblies, which was a union. George Bartell was John Woodhouse family neighbor. And so John had been an errand boy for Bartell, and maybe that's why he decided to become a pharmacist.
Brewster Denny gives a first-person account of the Denny Party, the boatload of settlers who landed in West Seattle in 1851.
Of the 24 people who landed at Alki Point, I knew only one, and that was Roland Herschel Denny, the 2-month-old baby who had been born in Portland after crossing the plains with his pregnant mother.
Brewster Denny calls it Alki Point.
Brewster Denny's pronunciation was the correct one. This is based out of a Chinook jargon word. The Chinook jargon was the trade language.
Ken Hollison's interview is really interesting. He was an anthropologist who worked with local tribes, and he worked closely with the Duwamish, trying to get them recognition, tribal recognition.
The white guys come in, Denny and Doc Maynard and that, so the Indians helped them survive. And gradually more and more settlers came in and they began to take the land. So the Indians became refugees in their own land, and they didn't have civil rights.
White Center real estate agent Elliot Cowden worked to end housing discrimination. President Johnson invited him to Washington, D.C.
He was trying to calm the country down after Kennedy's shocking demise, and he had different groups coming into the White House.
It's different than you might read about in old newspapers. He's so humble about it, and it's such a big deal.
But the treasured tapes are getting harder and harder to play and see.
The longer they sit without being processed, they become demagnetized, and so you're literally having information kind of, for lack of a better word, it's basically dissolving off the tapes.
Yes, honey, I am getting too close to this war now and ready to come home.
Not all of them have been cataloged by the museum.
Preserving videos like these is an urgent task.
A lot of the tapes that come through are like damaged or like just they're degrading, so the image quality is not as great. Sometimes they won't play, and so it's called magnetic media crisis.
Libby Hopfoff digitizes and archives videos at Moving Image Preservation of Puget Sound, or MIPoPS. The nonprofit is helping Southwest Seattle Historical Society convert and store its tapes.
We can do Betacam, Betacam SP, Digibeta, U-matic, VHS, SVHS, VHS-C, 1-inch, D2, Laserdisc, and Hi8 and DVCam. There's so many important, amazing things on videotape from about 1970 into the I still have some tapes that are from 2007.
MIPoPS occupies this tiny office in Seattle City Hall rent-free in exchange for helping the city digitize its massive video collection.
Completion of the dome meant the arrival of Major League Sports. First on the scene was professional soccer.
And yes, one of the original Sounders investors is smoking at the press conference announcing the Kingdome deal. MIPoP's archive page contains hundreds of saved videos like this one. One of Libby's favorites?
It's this PSA from Seattle City Light. The lyrics were written by Sir Mix-a-Lot.
Watch your heat bill take a dive. Watch your heat bill take a dive. Don't use heat all night and all day.
Reduce your chills and cut your bills. And it's very delightfully cheesy.
Fun aside.
Videotape was cheap, film wasn't, and they were able to capture all of these people, like real people doing real things, And so there are all these like unique moments of our history that wasn't necessarily like written about or talked about. For all these organizations we work with, it's just as important as like a document or a painting. Like it's a record of either art or history that needs to be preserved.
The Southwest Seattle Historical Society agrees and is grateful future generations will have better access to its video history.
You know, when Chief Seattle died, it was the pioneers who buried him.
It's been really exciting to get them up and digitized. I'm excited for them to be searchable.
Watch CityStream Thursday nights at 7 on the Seattle Channel, or get video on demand and podcasts anytime at seattlechannel.org.